"You're like a brother to me," she said for years, so I introduced her to my new girlfriend. Now she's the one begging for a crumb of my attention, and I just call her sis. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The phone buzzed on my nightstand, shattering the quiet. The screen glowed with her name, Chloe. It was 11:37 p.m. on a Tuesday. I'd been up since 5 for a project deadline that had nearly broken me, and the sweet embrace of sleep was finally pulling me under. I let it go to voicemail. It buzzed again. Insistent. Relentless. A perfect metaphor for the last 5 years of my life. With a sigh that felt like it came from my bones, I swiped accept. "Chloe? Everything okay?" The response was a wet, hiccuping sob. "Leo," she choked out. He ghosted me. Mark. After 3 dates. I thought he was different. I closed my eyes, the familiar script unfolding. I was the understudy who'd played this role so many times I could do it in my sleep. "Hey, slow down. Breathe. Tell me what happened." The story tumbled out, a cryptic text, an unread message, a profile that had suddenly vanished from the app. It was the same tale I'd heard with David, with Ryan, with the guy from the yoga studio. Only the names changed. "I'm such an idiot," she wailed. "You're not an idiot. He's a coward," I recited, my voice on autopilot. I pushed myself up, my body screaming in protest. "Do you want me to come over? Would you?" Her voice was small, pathetic. I have been in Jerry's. 20 minutes later, I was on her couch, watching her demolish a pint of fish food while she dissected every text, every look, every possible meaning. I nodded in the right places, making sympathetic noises. This was my function. I was a high-end appliance. Leo, the emotional support human. When the tears finally subsided and the ice cream was gone, she looked at me, her big, blue eyes still shimmering. "I don't know what I'd do without you. You're my rock. Seriously, like the brother I never had." There it was. The word landed not with a sharp sting, but with a dull, sickening thud. Brother. I'd heard it before, of course. A dozen times, maybe more. But tonight, after the exhaustion, after the sheer déjà vu of it all, it felt different. It wasn't just a word, it was a life sentence. It was her neatly, finally, nailing me into a box I would never be allowed to leave. I just smiled, a tight, thin line. "Anytime, Chloe." As I walked out into the cool night air, the camera in my mind finally panned back. I saw the last 5 years not as a slow burn romance, but as a montage of servitude. Me, driving across town at 2 a.m. to fix her flat tire. Me, listening for hours as she cried over men who didn't deserve her tears. Me, remembering her birthday, her mother's allergy medication, the name of her first pet, while she routinely forgot if I took my coffee black or with sugar. I was the foundation of her life, all right. The part that was buried underground, unseen, expected to bear the weight without ever cracking. The group dinner a week later was supposed to be a celebration. I'd landed the Jacobs account, a promotion that came with a significant pay bump and a corner office. For the first time, I felt like I had something of my own to share. And so, after the Q4 presentation, Henderson himself called me into his office. I was saying, a genuine smile on my face. Our friends, Matt and Jen, were leaning in, listening. Chloe was scrolling through her phone. "That's huge, man," Matt said, clapping me on the shoulder. "You've been grinding for that." "I know, it finally feels like." "Oh my God. You guys, look at this one." Chloe interrupted, thrusting her phone across the table. The screen showed a brooding guy in a beanie holding a guitar. "His name is Jake. He's a musician. His bio says he's looking for a muse. Can you even?" Jen gave a non-committal smile. "Interesting, right?" Chloe beamed, completely oblivious to the conversation she'd just derailed. "It's so refreshing. Not like the boring corporate types." She patted my arm affectionately. The condescension was a physical blow. The table went quiet. Matt studied his napkin. Jen took a sudden interest in the menu. I felt my face grow warm. I wasn't just her friend. I was her benchmark for boring. A stable, reliable landmark she used to navigate toward more exciting disasters. I said nothing. I just took a long drink of my beer, the victory of my promotion turning to ash in my mouth. 2 days later, I decided I had to try. Just once. I couldn't live with the what if. I asked her to meet me at the Grind, the coffee shop where we'd spent 100 Saturday mornings. She arrived, buzzing with energy. So, Jake and I are talking. He writes his own songs, Leo. He sent me a voice note of one last night. It was intense. I stirred my black coffee, gathering my courage. Chloe, we need to talk about us. Her smile didn't falter. What about us? When you say I'm like a brother, it hurts. I kept my voice low, calm. We spend all our time together. I'm your first call for everything, good or bad. I feel like we're a couple in everything but name. Her smile finally faded, replaced by a look of patronizing patience. She sighed, as if explaining basic arithmetic to a particularly slow child. Leo, what we have is special. It's pure. It's not complicated by all that messy relationship stuff. I love you, but I'm in love with the idea of finding a spark. With Jake, I feel a spark. With you, I feel safe. The words hung in the air between us. Safe. It was the nicest way anyone had ever called me insignificant. So I'm the safety net, I stated, my voice flat. You're my foundation, she corrected, her tone implying it was a grand compliment. There's a difference. And in that moment, I saw it all with terrifying clarity. She wasn't confused. She wasn't scared. She knew exactly what she was doing. She would happily let me spend my life holding her up while she danced on my shoulders, searching for a spark that would never, ever be me. I was a utility, a comfortable piece of furniture, the brother she never had. The confusion and the aching hope that had lived in my chest for years suddenly evaporated. It was replaced by a cold, clean, and absolute certainty. I nodded. I stood up, pulling a tin from my wallet and placing it on the table for my $2 coffee. Okay, I said, my voice eerily calm. I understand now. Goodbye, Chloe. I turned and walked out of the coffee shop. I didn't look back. I heard a faint, confused Leo behind me, but I just kept walking. The door swung shut, cutting off the sound of her world, and for the first time in 5 years, I could only hear my own. The first week was the strangest. It wasn't the silence that was deafening. It was the absence of the constant, low-grade hum of her noise. No sudden, dramatic texts. No panic calls about a forgotten charger or a cryptic message from a man she'd just met. The peace was unnerving, like the ringing in your ears that only appears when everything else goes quiet. I didn't announce my departure. I didn't write a long, cathartic letter. I simply enacted a digital secession. I went into my phone, and with a calm, methodical precision that felt surgical, I blocked her. Number, Instagram, Facebook, even the stupid LinkedIn connection she never used. I was the ghost who cleaned up after himself. Her first attempts to breach the void came through the usual channels. Chloe, day one, are you mad at me? That's so immature. We're adults, Leo. Talk to me. I read the notification on my watch before it vanished into the ether, a faint buzz on my wrist. I felt nothing. No anger, no hurt, not even satisfaction. It was like hearing a weather alert for a storm in a country I'd left forever. Chloe, day 3, okay, fine. Be that way. Jake and I are going to that new synthwave concert tonight. You'd hate it. It's too cool for your classic rock. This one almost made me smile. She was trying to punish me with FOMO, not realizing she was describing my personal version of hell. I was in my sweatpants, eating pizza, and watching a documentary about deep-sea fishing. I was, for the first time in recent memory, perfectly content. With the mental real estate she had occupied suddenly vacant, I found myself with an abundance of time and energy. I poured it into the new promotion, not as an escape, but as a focus. I started going to the gym not to vent frustration, but to build something for myself. The strain of iron was honest. It yielded results proportional to the effort I put in. It was nothing like the black hole of need that was Chloe. I reconnected with Matt and Jen, not as Chloe's friend, Leo, but as myself. We went to a baseball game, and I realized I didn't have to constantly check my phone for her updates. I was present. Chloe, week 2, Leo, this is ridiculous. I need to talk to you. Jake is being weird. He borrowed $200 for new guitar strings, and now he's in the zone and won't answer my texts. Sound familiar? Ah, there it was. The first crack. The sound familiar was a masterstroke, an attempt to create a shared grievance, to pull me back into the familiar role of co-victim. It was the siren call of the drama I had sailed away from. I deleted the notification and went back to my rep. The gossip, when it came, was delivered not by her, but by Jen over beers a month in. So, you heard about the musician? She asked, hesitant. I've heard nothing, I said, and it was the truth. And I prefer it that way. She filled me in anyway. Jake had, predictably, been a vortex of consumption. The $200 was just the start. He'd never paid for a single meal, drank all her good wine, and then she'd found him in the DMs of one of her own followers. The spark had, as sparks tend to do, burned out quickly and left a mess. She's a mess, Leo, Jen said, watching me carefully for a reaction. Really crying about it. Says she's lost her best friend and her boyfriend at the same time. I took a slow sip of my beer. She lost her best friend the moment she decided he was just her brother. The words were calm, a simple statement of cause and effect. I felt a distant pang of something, not sympathy for her pain, but a profound pity for the person I used to be, the one who would have been devastated by that news. Now, it was just data. It confirmed my hypothesis. The cycle was broken because I had removed myself from the machine. It was in a bookstore 2 months into my new life that I met Sarah. I was in the architecture section, looking for a book on mid-century modern design, a new interest that felt entirely my own. Good choice, a voice said next to me. But if you're just getting into it, this one gives a better overview of the philosophical roots. I turned. She had intelligent eyes behind stylish glasses and a smile that was curious, not calculating. She held out a different book. Oh, thanks, I said, taking it. I'm just branching out. A good thing to do, she replied. Her name was Sarah. She was an architect. We talked for 20 minutes right there in the aisle about Frank Lloyd Wright and the sin of decorative excess. It was a conversation, a back and forth. She asked me questions about my work and actually listened to the answers. I asked about her projects and found myself genuinely interested. There was no performance. I wasn't trying to be her rock, her therapist, her brother. I was just a guy talking to a woman in a bookstore. The simplicity of it was revolutionary. We went for coffee, then dinner. It was easy. It was light. When she talked about a difficult client, I offered a perspective, but I didn't try to fix it for her. She did the same for me. It was a partnership, not a service agreement. One evening, as we were cooking together at my place, my clean, peaceful place that no longer had a dedicated drawer for her things, my phone buzzed on the counter. A number I didn't recognize, but I knew with a cold certainty it was her. Unknown number, 9:14 p.m. Leo, it's Chloe. I know you have me blocked. I'm using my mom's phone. Please. I'm sorry. I see everything so clearly now. He used me. You were the only real thing in my life. Please call me. I showed the phone to Sarah. My sister, I said, with a wry smile. Sarah read it, her eyebrow arching. Yikes. The desperation is palpable. She handed the phone back. You gonna call her? No, I said, and the word felt clean and absolute. I blocked that number too. I'm exactly where I want to be. And for the first time, I knew it was the undeniable truth. The ghost had not only found peace, he had built a new life, and he had no intention of haunting the old one. The first time she saw us was at the Oak Barrel, a low-lit gastropub Matt had chosen for his birthday. It was 3 months into my new life, and Sarah's presence beside me felt as natural as breathing. We were holding hands, our fingers interlaced on the table as we laughed at one of Matt's terrible jokes. I was relaxed, present in a way I never could be when I was on constant alert for Chloe's next crisis. The door opened, casting a shaft of evening light into the room. And there she was. Chloe stood frozen in the entrance, her eyes scanning the room before they landed on me. Then they darted to Sarah, to our joined hands, and back to my face. I saw the blood drain from her complexion in a visible wave, leaving her pale and stunned. It was the look of someone who had just watched their entire reality rewrite itself without their permission. She recovered quickly, a brittle, performative smile snapping into place. She strode over, ignoring everyone else at the table. Leo, oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. Her voice was an octave too high. Her eyes were locked on me, desperately trying to pretend Sarah was a hallucination. Who's this? I felt Sarah's hand give mine a subtle, reassuring squeeze. I smiled, calm and polite. Chloe, this is my girlfriend, Sarah. Sarah, this is Chloe, an old friend. The word girlfriend hit her like a physical blow. She actually flinched. Girlfriend? She stammered, the fake brightness cracking. That was fast. She tried to reclaim territory, turning to Sarah with a saccharine smile. I'm his best friend. We've known each other for, 5 years. I didn't let Sarah have to field that one. I looked at her, my expression warm and genuine, and said, my best friend is right here. I turned my gaze back to Chloe, my politeness a perfect, impenetrable shield. It was good seeing you, Chloe. We were just leaving. I stood up, helping Sarah with her jacket. I didn't look at Chloe again. I guided Sarah toward the door, my hand on the small of her back, a universe of intimacy and possession in that simple gesture. I heard a choked, sputtered noise behind us, but I didn't turn back. The foundation of her world had just crumbled, and I felt nothing but the gentle pressure of Sarah's shoulder against mine. The dam broke after that. The text started again, now from a revolving door of new numbers, each message a new stage in the cycle of grief. Unknown, nostalgia Leo, it's Chloe. Remember that time we got lost in the rain coming back from the coast? And we sang terrible 80s songs until we found the highway? I miss talking to you. We need to catch up. Just as friends. I deleted it. I was with Sarah, helping her assemble a new bookshelf. We were building something together. Unknown, self-pity he was a mistake. Jake, you were right about everything. I was stupid and blind. I see that now. You were the only one who ever really knew me. I'm so lost. I showed it to Sarah. She shook her head, a mix of pity and disgust. She doesn't miss you, Sarah said, her insight razor sharp. She misses the service you provided. She was right. It was the most profound truth of the entire situation. Then came the anger. Unknown. Entitlement, how can you just replace me? After everything we've been through. 5 years of friendship, and you just throw it away for some random girl you just met? I need you. You don't get to do this. This one I screenshotted. I sent it to Sarah with the caption, my sister is having a moment. She wrote back, LOL. Tell her siblings shouldn't be so emotionally incestuous. Block that one too. We laughed about it. That was the final, glorious freedom. Chloe's drama was no longer my crisis. It was a private joke between me and the woman I loved. Her desperation had become irrelevant, a mildly amusing nuisance. The final confrontation happened, as these things often do, in the most mundane of places, the cereal aisle of the grocery store on a sleepy Sunday morning. I was comparing sugar content, debating between Cheerios and Raisin Bran, when a voice behind me shattered the quiet. Leo. I turned. She looked hollow. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she wore no makeup. The vibrant, performative energy she always carried was gone, replaced by a raw, trembling exhaustion. She looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. Chloe, I said, my voice neutral. I placed the box of Cheerios in my cart. Leo, please. The words tumbled out in a rushed, rehearsed torrent. Just talk to me. For 5 minutes. I made a huge mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I was scared of what we had because it was so real, so solid. What I felt for you, it wasn't brotherly. I was lying to myself. I was an idiot. I love you. She finally stopped, her chest heaving, tears welling in her eyes. She was laying her soul bare, expecting me to catch it. I looked at her for a long moment. I didn't see the girl I'd pined for years. I saw a stranger who was causing a scene in the cereal aisle. I felt a distant, academic pity for her pain, but it was the same way I'd feel for a character in a sad movie. I appreciate you saying that, Chloe, I said, my tone even and sincere. A flicker of hope ignited in her wet eyes. So, what does that mean? Can we please just go get coffee and talk? Please. I shook my head gently, a sad, final smile on my lips. I'm really happy with Sarah, and I'm glad we can finally be the friends you always said we were. I paused, letting the full weight of the reversal settle. It's better this way. Take care of yourself, okay? I met her gaze, my own clear and utterly devoid of the history she was begging me to revisit. Sis. The word landed not as an insult, but as a statement of irrevocable fact. It was the ultimate reflection of her own logic, the final brick in the wall of the friend zone. But this time, she was on the inside, desperately pounding on the glass, and I was free on the outside. I watched her face completely shatter. The hope, the pride, the very essence of her. It all collapsed in on itself. She didn't say another word. She just stood there, a statue of despair in aisle 7. I didn't wait for a response. I pushed my cart forward, the wheels rolling smoothly on the polished linoleum. I turned down the coffee aisle, my mind already moving on to the next item on my list. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. It was a text from Sarah. "Don't forget the coffee. And I love you." I smiled, a real, full smile that warmed me from the inside out. I texted back, already in the aisle. "I love you too." I walked out of the store and into the bright morning sun, the automatic doors swishing shut behind me. Somewhere back in the store, I knew Chloe was still standing there, sobbing. But her sounds were just noise now, fading into the meaningless background of a life I had gracefully and permanently left behind. The chapter was closed. My story was just beginning. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.